Hello, my name is Michael Tagler, Associate Professor of Psychological Science and the Chair of the IRB at Ball State University. I am helping BSU researchers transition from IRB-Net to our new human subjects research submission system called Cayuse Human Ethics. This video will demonstrate the initial submission process. Go to bsu.app.cayuse.com and log in via Ball State single sign-on. All faculty and professional staff have automatic access. BSU students can request access. Consult the Ball State IRB website for more information. On the first screen, you will notice Home in the top left corner. We are not yet in the Human Ethics platform. To access it, select Human Ethics under the Products menu on the right side of the screen. Notice the top left corner now indicates that we are in the Human Ethics platform. There are several views and widgets for navigation. At the top of the screen, you will see we are currently in the dashboard view, which includes shortcuts to your studies organized by status. For example, those in draft, those under review, and widgets that organize in additional ways. For example, you will see approved studies and upcoming studies with expiration dates. Alternatively, you can use the top menu to navigate, full lists of your studies, submissions, and tasks you may have. For example, I have started but not yet completed a submission, as shown here. With standard researcher accounts, you won't see the meetings, reporting, or more menus shown here, so please disregard these. Let's demonstrate how to start an initial submission. On the dashboard or studies view, you will see a blue New Study link to select. The first step here is to enter a study title. Note that the title here needs to match the title that will appear on study materials like informed consent documents and recruiting messages, flyers that your participants will read. Thus, it's recommended you pick a descriptive title, but not one that is overly technical. Let's pretend I'm going to do a study where I measure attitudes toward this new Cayuse HE platform. The first step is to enter this title, and then select the blue checkmark button to the right. The system has now recorded the study title and assigned me an IRB number, but we haven't yet begun a new submission. We begin an initial submission by selecting the new submission box on the right side of the screen. Now to start this initial submission, click Edit. We are now at the initial submission form. The blue menu bar on the left side will dynamically reveal sections that require completion. As we progress, notice how sections will appear or disappear here based on my responses. This smart branching logic is a very efficient feature of Cayuse that will present only relevant sections and questions needed for the study. This welcome section is designed to help determine if your study requires IRB review. If you are certain your study meets the federal definition of human subjects research, select this top option. If not, select the second option to access an HSR determination form, linked here. The third option is a special case where you have a previously approved IRB-Net study that you now need to move to Cayuse for the purpose of submitting a modification or renewal. That is a continuing review. I won't cover that process in this video, but if you need assistance, please contact me or the ORI office. Let's select the first option, read through the information, and then select Yes. Immediately, notice that additional sections appear on the left menu. At this point, you can use the left menu to navigate or click the arrow in the bottom right of the screen. For project personnel, select your role at BSU. Note again that students do not automatically have login access to Cayuse, but can request access. Next, indicate the principal investigator. The PI must be a BSU faculty or professional staff and is selected with the Find People tool. I'm going to search for myself, select myself. A great feature of Cayuse is that CITI training will automatically be linked. This is if you used your BSU email address at the CITI website. If your training does not appear, confirm that your city account is using your BSU email address. You also will have the option of uploading your training documents as attachments at the end of the application. We also need to identify a primary contact. For this example, I am going to select myself. For some studies, you may want to select someone other than the PI. For example, a Ph.D. student may be the primary contact. You can also add BSU affiliated co-investigators and other personnel as appropriate for your study. Lastly, there is a text box for adding personnel who do not have or need access to Cayuse. Examples include undergraduate student research assistants collecting data in your lab and researchers at non-BSU institutions. Next, there's a question to indicate if you are working with collaborators at other universities with their own IRBs. If so, a reliance agreement will appear. There are also attachment points for non-BSU CITI training and specialized training documentations. Last question in this section concerns financial conflict of interest that is relevant for federally funded research. If yes, a conflict of interest section will appear as required. I will select no. The next section concerns clinical trials for NIH or FDA funded trials only. Selecting yes reveals additional required questions, but selecting no concludes this section, as I am demonstrating. Next, we complete a participant section specifying the number of participants, their ages, and if you are recruiting vulnerable populations. If you select a population, response boxes appear for justification and special arrangements and protections. I will select none of the above. I will also select that I'm not using students from my own classes. But if I responded yes, policy and justification box would appear. Last, there's a question regarding if you are deliberately excluding a population. And if you select yes, a justification box appears. If you select no, it does not appear. The procedure section will appear next, where you describe in detail your recruitment and attach any flyers or advertisements used. These questions are required. Notice the red asterisk in the question name and in the section menu on the left. A check mark will appear on the left when I complete all the questions in a required questions in a section. I will enter TBA for the purpose of this video to be able to progress. Next are questions regarding letters of support, compensation, incentives, study products, genetic testing, data specimen, and observation of public behavior. If none of these are relevant to your study, select no, of course. But as we see again, a yes response triggers additional questions or response boxes. This is a good time to note that your work in Cayuse auto-saves as you progress, so you do not have to complete all sections in one session. But if you partially complete a section, as I have so far here, I recommend using the manual save green button to ensure all your progress is saved at any time. Next, describe your study procedures, duration of your study, future research. Here's where you would upload any study instruments, such as survey, script, experimental stimuli. Describe your data analysis. We next find a participant protection section to describe risks and benefits, deception, incomplete disclosure, and your informed consent process. Read the instructions and respond as appropriate for your study, of course. Note the attachment point for consent forms. Nearly to the end, we are required to complete a data security and storage plan. This form is very similar to the existing form we have manually uploaded into IRBnet in the past, but it's now built into Cayuse with Smart Logic. The final section is where you can upload additional attachments, such as CITI training, documentation for non-BSU personnel. Once we complete all required sections, we now have a complete submission link on the left. Before selecting, I want to explain what happens afterward. Notice the description above it. Routing, send a PI for certification. This refers to the need for the PI to certify the submission before it is submitted to the Office of Research Integrity for pre-review. This is equivalent to the signature step in IRBnet. In this demonstration, I am the PI, and thus I will be able to immediately certify the submission by clicking a button on the right. However, in the case where it is someone other than the PI completing the submission, for example, a graduate student doing this form completion, the PI will receive an email at this point instructing them to log in, review, and certify. Upon clicking the Certify button, a statement appears to review and then select Confirm to submit. Alternatively, if the PI at this point determines the submission needs further revision, the PI can select Return to route it back to their research collaborators for revision. For example, some details might be incomplete, not yet attached, or fully described. Now, after submitting, You should find your study in the stage of pre-review, which is grayed out here on this screen you see. But if I had certified and submitted, we should be in the pre-review stage. You will be notified when an IRB analyst pre-reviews your submission. If in doubt over the status of your submission, please feel free to contact me or the ORI office. My email is mjtagler@bsu.edu.